Do you really believe your daughter can work here? Look at her. Mr. Harrison's voice echoed by Chicago's elegant translation company, while discreetly pointed to Sophia, just 22, who was waiting nervous in the waiting room. His mother, Carmela, had worked as a cleaning lady in that same building for 15 years, cleaning off the offices where Sophia now tried to get a place as a translator. The contrast was glaring. While the other candidates wore expensive suits and carried diplomas from Ivy League universities, Sophia firmly held a simple folder containing online courses, certificates, and a determination that few could see. "Mr. Harrison, perhaps we should give her a chance," whispered Mrs. Williams, Director of Human Resources, but her voice sounded more out of obligation than for conviction. The company had received pressure to diversify its signings, and Sophia was just another quota to be filled. Harrison adjusted the designer glasses and flipped into Sophia's resume with visible contempt. Daughter of immigrant, with no renowned university formation, learned languages alone. He made quotes with his fingers, causing muffled giggles of the other executives present. "This is a waste of time. Our company serves embassies and multinational corporations. There can be no mistakes." Sofia Morales grew up listening to 6 different languages at home. His mother spoke Spanish, his Italian stepfather. The neighbors of the tight apartment were Russian, Koreans, and Arabs. While other children attended drawings, she translated school documents to her friends' parents and interpreted medical appointments for the whole community. At 16, he already dominated English, Spanish, Italian, Russian, Korean, and Arabic, with a fluency that would impress any professional linguist. What Harrison didn't know was that Sophia had grown in a natural linguistic laboratory. Each medical emergency in the neighborhood became a technical terminology class. Each legal document that came to families became the exercise of legal translation. Every fight of neighbors in different languages was a masterclass in cultural nuances and diplomacy. "Let's do it fast," Harrison murmured to Williams. "Give the harder test we have. When it fails, we will say we offer an opportunity." Williams handed Sophia a document in an Arabic technical about international corporate mergers, a text that had disapproved 3 master's candidates in that same week. It was a cruel trap. Complex legal terms mixed with financial jargon that neither natives dominated without years of specialization. 5 minutes for simultaneous translation, announced Williams, linking the recorder. No dictionary, no consultations. Sophia took a deep breath, her eyes revealing a serenity that only exists in those who grew up transforming barriers into bridges. At the age of 7, she already translated rental contracts to desperate families who could not understand the abusive terms. At 12, he played complex medical diagnoses for neighbors and emergency consultations. Every difficult word he had faced in life had been a disguised lesson. While Harrison exchanged mocking messages on her cell phone with other executives, look what Williams brought today. Daughter of the cleaning lady trying to pass through a translator, Sophia began to translate with accuracy and speed that made her sarcastic smile slowly disappear. Not only did it translate, she explained cultural contexts, identified regional subtleties, and corrected inconsistencies in the original document itself. "Moment," Harrison interrupted after 2 minutes, frowning. "Is this correct?" Williams quickly verified the official translation. His face paled. Not only was it correct, Sophia had captured technical nuances that even the senior translators of the company could consistently identify. Even more impressive, she had detected 3 mistakes in the original Arabic document that went unnoticed for months. "There's a mistake on the 15 line, Sophia commented calmly. "The term used for intangible active is incorrect in the context of intellectual property. It should be asel manawi and not mal gair malmus. And in the 23 line, the combination of the verb acquires is wrong for this type of contract." The silence in the room was deafening. Harrison had stopped typing on her cell phone and stared at her with an expression between surprise and growing irritation. The other executives exchanged uncomfortable looks, realizing that they had just witnessed something that did not fit their carefully built prejudices. Williams cleared throat nervously. "Well, that's impressive, but we would like to test other languages as well." "Of course," Sophia responded with a smile that kept more profit than those executives could imagine. "Italian, Russian, Korean, or Mandarin? I forgot to mention, I also speak Mandarin fluently. I learned from the family Chen who lives upstairs." Harrison felt a twinge of irritation. How was it possible for someone with that background to know more than Harvard-trained candidates? It must be lucky, or perhaps she had decorated some specific documents. "Russian then," he said dryly. "Let's see if you can interpret this military contract." While Sophia accepted the new challenge with the same unshakable tranquility, a question hovered in the air. What would those arrogant executives discover when they realized that they had underestimated not only a talented translator, but someone who has kept skills far beyond what had shown so far. If you are enjoying this story of overcoming that is just beginning, be sure to subscribe to the channel to find out how a simple job interview would turn into something that would completely redefine the notions of those arrogant executives about talent, origin, and true professional excellence. The Russian document that Harrison handed over to Sophia was not just difficult, it was deliberately impossible. It was a military contract classified on armaments acquisition, full of technical codes like Pentagon translators dominated without specific briefings. 15 minutes, Harrison announced, crossing his arms with satisfaction. If you can translate at least half without grotesque mistakes, we will consider one surprise. Sophia examined the document quickly, her eyes walking through terms like Protiashoe Raketny Kleksi and Sistema Nasnadenia Tretivo Pokolenia. At the age of 18, he had played for Ukrainian refugees who arrived in the neighborhood with military documents, just like that. Mr. Volkov, a veteran of war in Afghanistan, had become a grandfather to her, teaching her not only military Russian, but the story behind each technical term. "You can start," said Williams, calling the recorder again. Sophia took a deep breath and started. Not only did it translate each technical term with surgical precision, but explained differences between weaponry models, identified inconsistencies in specifications, and even corrected dates that made no chronologically meaning. Harrison stopped pretending disinterest. His fingers touched nervously on the table while checking each translation on his tablet. Everything was perfect. More than perfect, was technically superior to the official translation he had in confidential files. How do you know about S-400 systems?" Harrison asked, his voice revealing a mixture of unbelief and growing irritation. "My neighbor worked with these systems at Kaliningrad base," Sophia responded naturally. "He taught me the difference between mid-range earth-air missiles when I was 16. He thought I should understand what he had nightmares." The room was silent. Williams frantically leafed the results of other candidates. None had arrived or close to that accuracy. Harvard, Yale, Princeton, they had all failed miserably in the same test. "Mandarin," Harrison abruptly said, his patience clearly exhausted. "Simultaneous interpretation of real-time commercial negotiation." He turned on a video conferencing with Shanghai Chinese entrepreneurs who were at that very moment discussing the acquisition of an American company. The conversation included financial jargon, regional slang, and cultural references that even translation applications could capture. Sophia placed the headphones and began to interpret simultaneously, her voice flowing between English and Mandarin with a naturalness that even made Chinese entrepreneurs stop to ask where she had studied. "University of Life," she responded in perfect Mandarin, drawing approving laughs from Shanghai businessmen. Harrison turned off the call abruptly. His face was red of frustration. For 15 years driving that company, he had never witnessed a demonstration of linguistic competence of that level, and came from where I least expected it. "Where did you really learn all this?" he asked, no longer being able to disguise the irritation in his voice. "In life, Mr. Harrison. While you learned at expensive universities, I was in the trenches of real communication. Every desperate family that needed to understand a medical document, every immigrant who arrived without knowing a word of English, every child who cried because he couldn't talk to his parents at school." Sophia paused, her eyes finding her with a deep serenity that bothered. "The difference is that you have learned languages to impress people in cocktails. I learned to save lives." Harrison felt something she doesn't. It has been for years, the uncomfortable feeling of being judged and considered inappropriate. This young woman not only dominated skills that he considered exclusive of his educational elite, she surpassed them with an annoying naturalness. "Williams, prepare the final test," he murmured, his tense voice. "The complete diplomatic protocol." Williams hesitated. "Mr. Harrison, the diplomatic protocol is for senior candidates. No junior has ever passed him." "Exactly," Harrison answered with a smile that didn't come to the eye. "If she is as extraordinary as it looks, there should be no problem." What Harrison didn't realize was that every impossible test he applied just confirmed something that Sophia already knew about herself. But there was something deeper happening in that room, something that would turn a simple job interview at a time that would redefine not only their career, but the perception of those executives about talent, origin, and the true meaning of professional excellence. Sophia watched Harrison meet with other executives in conspiracy whispers. The diplomatic protocol was legendary in the company. Such a complex test that included simultaneous interpretation of 6 languages during a real international crisis video, with diplomats discussing real-time economic sanctions. "This is cruel indeed for our standards," murmured Williams discreetly. "Senior candidates with decades of experience failed this test." "Exactly," Harrison replied with a cold smile. When she fails, no one can say we didn't give a chance. Generous. What Harrison didn't know was that Sophia had grown up being the official linguistic bridge of a mini UN in her own apartment. His neighborhood housed refugees from 3 different wars, immigrants from 6 countries, and families fleeing political persecution. At the age of 15, she already played informal diplomatic discussions between community leaders, trying to mediate ethnic conflicts in the building itself. During the break for final testing, Sophia discreetly sent a message to someone. "I need your help for the last time. It's today." The answer came instantly. "I always knew this day would come. I will be present virtually." Harrison returned with a predatory smile. "Are you ready for the real test? Let's connect it with an active diplomatic conference between UN representatives discussing the humanitarian crisis in the Middle East. 6 languages simultaneously, extreme cultural nuances, human lives at stake. What if I can?" Sophia asked calmly. Harrison laughed. "Impossible. But hypothetically, if it could, it would offer you an initial position of an intern." The insult echoed through the room. Williams counted uncomfortably. Other executives exchanged glances, realizing that Harrison had crossed an invisible line even for the most cruel corporate patterns. "Intern," Sophia repeated, her voice maintaining a serenity she should have served as a warning. "After showing skills that their qualified candidates do not have." "Don't forget where it came from," Harrison replied coldly. "Your mother cleans these offices. You should feel privileged to be here." It was at this moment that Sophia smiled. Not a smile of submission or nervousness, but something that made Williams instinctively take a step back. It was the smile of someone who had allowed others to crash his own grave and now observed the result with silent satisfaction. "You're right about my mother," she said softly. "She has been working here for 15 years. He has known each office, every conversation that happens after office hours, each document left on the printers." Harrison frowned. Something in her tone had changed completely. "And you know what else? During these 15 years, while you thought it was invisible, she photographed interesting things. Emails about discriminatory practices in hiring, conversations about maintaining certain types of people away from important positions, documents about clients being purposely deceived." The blood drained Harrison's face. "You are threatening." "I'm not threatening anything," Sophia interrupted, her voice still calm. "I am just contextualizing why I accept to do its impossible test. Because regardless of the result, this company will change today. The only variable is whether this change will happen with its cooperation or despite its resistance." Williams looked between Sophia and Harrison, realizing that he witnessed something much larger than a job interview. The young woman had turned the interrogation room into court, and Harrison was finding that she was not the judge. She was the defendant. "My mother is not just a cleaning lady, Mr. Harrison. She has a master's degree in business by a university in Columbia, but has never been able to validate the diploma here. You know why? They hurt to keep qualified people in adequate positions to what they believe to be our place in society." The revelation fell like a bomb. Harrison had spent 15 years greeted a woman with skills higher than her, treating her as a disposable manpower. "Let's take this test," Sophia continued, removing a small device from her pocket. "But this time, with a slightly larger audience. On the screen of your phone, the logo of a live broadcast appeared. 3,000 people watching and rising," she announced casually, "including CNN journalists, Washington Post, and some labor discrimination lawyers I know about my volunteer work in the community." "You can't," Harrison started, but she stopped, realizing that her own discriminatory words were being broadcast live. "I can. This office is considered public space during selection processes according to labor law. My friend Marcus, who works in the legal department of the city, explained this to me last night." Williams has frantically checked the regulations on the computer. Sophia was correct. Technically, they could not prevent transmission without admitting that they were violating transparency protocols. "Now," Sophia said, adjusting the camera angle to capture the whole room, "how about we start this diplomatic test? I want all America to see exactly the level of impossibility you reserve for candidates who don't fit your standards." Aesthetic. What those arrogant executives did not realize was that they were about to star in their own destruction in national network, while a young woman who completely underestimated were preparing to show that her greatest revenge would not just get jobs, it would be to rewrite the rules of the whole industry. But there was still a surprise in the end that would make Harrison question everything he believed to know about power, privilege, and true professional competence. The live broadcast already had 15,000 spectators when Harrison finally managed to connect the diplomatic video conferencing. On the screen, 6 windows appeared with UN representatives, ambassadors, and mediators discussing in real time the distribution of humanitarian resources in the Middle East. Arabic, Fari, Hebrew, English, French, and Russian simultaneously, Harrison announced to the camera, his voice shaking, revealing increasing nervousness. 15 minutes of continuous interpretation without breaks. Sophia adjusted the headphones and smiled at the online audience. Before I start, I would like to present someone special. She turned the phone screen, revealing an elegant 50-year-old woman connected via video chamada. This is Dr. Elena Volkov, my mentor. She has been a chief interpreter of the United Nations for 20 years and currently runs the Geneva Diplomatic Translation Institute. Harrison choked. This is impossible. Hello, Sophia, said Dr. Volkov in perfect English with light Russian accent. I'm watching with great interest. Mr. Harrison, I imagine? Dr. Volkov went straight to the camera. For viewers, you are about to witness something extraordinary. Sophia has sent me samples from their translations 2 years ago. Your technical accuracy and cultural sensitivity have exceeded translators that have been working on international organisms for decades. Williams checked frantically on Google. Dr. Elena Volkov was really a legend in the area, responsible for historical peace negotiations, mentioned in books on international diplomacy. When did you get to know each other? Harrison asked, her voice almost a whisper. Sophia sought me out of 17 by email, Dr. Volkov explained calmly. He had translated Red Cross documents for refugees in Chicago and wanted to check if his translations were correct. In 20 years of career, I've never seen someone so young with such intuition for diplomatic nuances. The online audience exploded in comments. Journalists began to share the transmission. Fail-Faxinera Genius began to tend on Twitter. Dr. Volkov offered Sophia a full scholarship to study in Geneva, continued the explanation for the video conferencing, but she chose to stay in Chicago to take care of her mother and keep serving her community. A decision that talks more about character than any diploma could demonstrate. Harrison felt her legs bamper. The young woman who had tried to humiliate publicly not only had superior skills, she had resigned the opportunities he had never dreamed of having. You can start when it's ready, said Dr. Volkov. Sophia took a deep breath and began the interpretation. What happened in the next 15 minutes was a masterclass in international communication. Not only translated, anticipated cultural misunderstandings, explained historical contexts and suggestions reformulations that avoided diplomatic conflicts. When an Israeli diplomat used an expression that could offend the Arab representatives, Sophia reformulated maintaining the meaning but eliminating the provocation. When a Russian mediator referred to controversial historical events, she contextualized so that everyone understood without feeding resentment. Extraordinary, murmured one of the ambassadors in the video conferencing. Who is this interpreter? I need to request your services for the next negotiations. She is interpreting concepts that even our senior translators can capture, whispered another diplomat. How does she know about the tribal subtleties of Syrian conflict? Harrison watched in growing silence, realizing that every second of the transmission destroyed his professional credibility. The online audience went from 20,000 people, with devastating comments about their discriminatory attitudes. During a technical break, Sophia went to the camera. For those who are asking about my formation, I grew up translating war nightmares to refugees who slept on the floor of our room. I learned about international conflicts by listening to stories of families who lost everything because of poorly interpreted words in negotiations. The online chat exploded in support. Donations began to appear to the future ambassador. Job offers arrived in real time from competitors. Enough, Harrison said abruptly, trying to turn off the video conferencing. No, Sophia answered calmly, continuing the interpretation. My test contract specifies 15 full minutes. Interrupting now would be a professional protocol break. When it ended, the silence in the room was absolute. Ambassadors in the video conferencing applauded, something unprecedented in formal diplomatic meetings. Mr. Harrison, said Dr. Volkov, his voice, laden voice, I hope he understands that he has just witnessed a talent that comes once by generation. Sophia could work in any capital of the world. And now, Sophia said, looking straight at Harrison, about my position as intern. Harrison's face was red with humiliation. Live broadcast had captured every moment of prejudice, every discriminatory comment, every cruel attempt to sabotage an extraordinary candidate. Williams' cleared throat. Maybe we should reconsider the offer. No, Sophia answered her firm voice. I accept the intern, but with a small modification. She turned to the camera. I just accepted a proposal from Dr. Volkov to be an international consultant. I'm going to work here only half a time as an intern to have local experience before taking into the embassies. Harrison noticed the perfect trap. Sophia had not only shown higher competence, had turned her generous internship offering into an international network opportunity that would raise the company's status. Refusing now would be a professional suicide broadcast live. Of course, he murmured, defeated. Welcome to the team. One more thing, Sophia added casually. My first recommendation as a consultant is that you implement a real diversity program, not just cosmetic. I have several talented community friends who could significantly raise the level of this company. What those executives did not completely understand was that they witnessed not only the birth of a new star in international diplomacy, but the complete transformation of a company that had been publicly revealed as a symbol of prejudice disguised as excellence. 6 months later, Sophia walked through the corridors of the company that had tried to humiliate her, but now with a different badge. International Relations Director, UN Senior Consultant. The transformation had been meteoric. After the viral transmission, which reached 3 million views in 1 week, job offers arrived from embassies, international organizations, and multinational corporations. But Sophia chose something more powerful, transforming the system that had tried to exclude her inside. Harrison, on the other hand, had become a joke in the industry. The video prejudiced executive humiliated by the daughter of cleaning lady became a study case in corporate diversity courses. His resignation arrived 2 weeks after the transmission, when the board found that its discriminatory practices had cost the company millionaire contracts with international organizations. Good morning, Mr. Harrison, Sophia greeted politely as he passed him in the elevator. He had only got a junior job at a smaller company, earning less than Sophia received from a single consulting contract. Sophia, congratulations on your success, he murmured, avoiding eye contact. The irony was delicious. The man who had offered an internship like favor now worked to you have hierarchical levels below it in the same industry. Williams, who had remained at the company, became an ally near Sophia. You have revolutionized our way of hiring, she commented during a meeting. Our new translators come from communities we would never consider before. And you know what the result is? Our technical accuracy has increased 40%. The diversity program that Sophia had implemented became a national model. The company went from elitism symbol to reference in genuine inclusion. Refugees, immigrants, and young people from needy communities now had real opportunities, not just symbolic quotas. Mom, Sophia said on the phone during lunch, remember when she asked me if she was worth facing powerful people? Carmela, who now supervised the company's mentoring program for working families, laughed on the other end. And I said that sometimes David needs to face Goliath. You were right, but I discovered something better than defeating Goliath. What? Teach him to be a better person. Sophia's true revenge was not to destroy Harrison, but to build something bigger than he had ever imagined possible. Every refugee who got a job, every young man from the periphery that discovered his linguistic potential, each broken barrier represented a victory that transcended any personal humiliation. Dr. Volkov visited Chicago 3 months later to officialize the partnership between the company and the Geneva Institute. Sophia, you proved something that I try to teach for decades. Excellence has no pedigree, it has purpose. During the launching ceremony of the international program, Sophia took the stage where it all had started. This time, the audience was not for skeptical executives but young people from 50 different countries, all participants in the new global diplomatic translation program. A year ago, in this same room, they offered me an internship as a favor, she said to the microphone. Today, I launch a program that will change thousands of lives. The difference was not just my technical competence, a strategic break. It was understanding that true excellence does not come from where you were born or studied. How many bridges you build instead of walls you get up. The applause was deafening. In the audience, Harrison watched silently, finally understanding what he had lost in judging people for his origins. At the end of the event, a young Syrian refugee approached Sophia. Thank you for proving that our accent does not define our intelligence, she said perfectly with a slight accent that made her even more eloquent. Your accent is your strength, Sophia replied. Never let anyone convince her otherwise. 3 weeks later, Sophia received a White House proposal to coordinate the new National Linguistic Inclusion Program. At the same time, Harrison was fired again, this time for inadequate comments during a video conferencing that went viral on social networks. The last meeting between them happened casually in a coffee. Harrison, visibly downcast, approached her table. Sophia, I wanted to apologize for the comments, the arrogance, for everything. She looked at him with a serenity he could never reach. Harrison, his worst decision was to underestimate me. His second worst was to continue underestimating other people like me. Learn from it. How do you not feel angry? Because anger is waste of energy. I prefer to use it to build bridges. Sophia concluded, for all who have already been underestimated because they do not fit into someone's standard, Their difference is not a disadvantage. It's your greatest strength. Use it to rewrite the rules. The best revenge was not just proving that it was right. It was transforming an entire system, ensuring that other talented people never faced the barriers it exceeded. Harrison tried to break her spirit, but ended up strengthening her determination. Sophia has learned that true victory is not to destroy who underestimate you, is to build something so extraordinary that they have no choice but to recognize their greatness. Today, Sophia works with embassies from 6 continents. Her inclusion program has become public policy in 12 countries, and Harrison is still looking for a job. Sometimes justice has a perfect sense of humor. If you have been inspired by this story of overcoming and transformation, be sure to subscribe to the channel, because sometimes the best response to prejudice is not anger, it is excellence that redefines what it means to be truly extraordinary.